I want to talk about your bottom line this morning, and we're going to do that with Michael Jankins. We have our bankruptcy attorney here, our expert, to kind of making sure you're staying out of bankruptcy, and we're going to kind of give you some situations that might throw you in that direction that hopefully we can avoid today. Yeah, we don't want people developing bad financial habits and financial conduct that leads them down the wrong path financially. Or repeating those habits every once in a while. We want to avoid those as well. So great advice this morning on things you can do to make sure you're not kind of falling into those bad habits, and some of these I'm already kind of having to mark on my list here a little bit. Of course, with Jankins Law Firm this morning. Okay, so this one I wanted you to be more specific on, because we're talking about relying on overtime income to determine the ability if you can afford or even pay for things. So as someone who kind of does multiple things in the community, I'm thinking, okay, you're talking about my extra jobs and that little extra income that I come in, that I'm relying too much on that, or what specifically does this refer to? Well, relying on your extra jobs, or if someone's working a couple different jobs, that is consistent. You can sort of rely on that because you're working just for two different companies, and so you're going to get regular hours probably from the part-time job if you're doing that. You know that money's coming in, so you can kind of budget. You can plan on it. I mean, you're getting scheduled hours if you're working a part-time job besides your full-time job, or you have a lot of different things going on, but these are things you do it on a regular type of basis. Right. But what we're looking at here is we have clients that work for companies in Des Moines and government agencies that there's a lot of overtime that they get at different periods of the year. Okay. Or they can go for a period of years getting lots of overtime. Mm-hmm. The United States Post Office is a big overtime-based company at times. Places like Firestone, what used to be called Tones, the tire plants. Our clients get a lot of overtime. We get clients that sometimes are getting $20,000 and $30,000 of overtime while they're working their jobs. Okay. And it can be for a long period of time, but it's not guaranteed. So you could have a $60,000 guarantee base at the post office. Well, that's what you can count on earning, and you should live like you're earning $60,000. But no, we'll have clients that have worked there a really long time, and they've grown accustomed to overtime, and so they're living like they're making $90,000, and that it's going to always be coming until it's not. Until it's not. All of a sudden, the edict comes down from the post office because they're always losing money, and they're going out. We're cutting out all the overtime, and then everyone's in a panic. Right. And you know, I've had lots of clients for the last 30 years at the post office, and they're always cutting out overtime, but usually they're cutting it back. There seems to always be overtime, and the holidays come in November and December, and everybody's getting a load of hours. But yeah, I mean, you just can't live like you're going to always be making a higher income, and you can't be buying your house based on the higher income and your cars based on the higher income, because when they pull it back and now you're just working normal 40 hours a week, right? You're like losing a job. So basically, don't count on something that's not a guarantee. Otherwise, you're going to be scrambling to figure out, how can I pay for something when I was living beyond my means? They'll be calling me. They'll be calling you, which is what we're trying to avoid, right? Bad habits. Habits that can lead to ... That's bankruptcy, which we're trying to avoid this morning. We don't want to get you out of work, but we want to make sure people are doing the right thing. Okay, misuse of credit cards. I think we could basically put this headline in everything you tell us on a regular basis, but we're talking about accumulating all of those cards, the Visas, the retail credit cards, carrying those large balances and not really knowing how to pay them down or even pay them off eventually. So it's not even just accumulating all these credit cards. That's the biggest bad thing that people do with them. They just keep charging. If you want to go buy something. They have this gesture. They're like, here, take my card. I want to get this thing at Dillard's or Von Maur, so we don't need to worry about if it's on sale. I got a credit card, I'll just go get it now. Right. People just buy stuff because they want to. It doesn't really matter whether they can afford to. That isn't even a thought process anymore. And so they just charge, and they keep charging, and they grow these credit cards and have lots of them, and they just aren't really ever paying them off. I mean, they pay the minimum balances until they've maxed them out. Well, now they can't use them anymore. Right. So they either get more credit cards, or they just keep charging on those. And so that's one bad thing with them. Other bad things people do with their credit cards,
They give them to other people to use. This is kind of something we see with parents letting their kids help out of a jam, use the credit cards, or grandma or grandpa let their grandkid use it because they need some help.
Okay.
Except they didn't just use it for the time they need some help. They decided to keep using it for other things.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, maybe they were going to help them out with, you know, $500 for here to take care of some bills or something. And all of a sudden, on grandma's credit card, you know, it's $10,000 before you know it.
Yeah.
And now grandma's in trouble. So you shouldn't really be letting other people use your credit cards. You should guard them with your life. And don't accumulate them. I mean, a couple credit cards for a MasterCard or Visa, maybe a store card or two at your most popular favorite store you like to go shopping at. But to have a shoebox full of credit cards, that isn't a good thing.
No.
If you can't even fit them in your purse or your billfold, you're really out of control.
You've gone too far.
And again, you're going to be falling off the rail at some point, because once they get maxed out, you're not going to be able to afford to keep paying them, because all you're paying is interest. And or you better be getting one of those second jobs to help pay for those.
There you go. And it sounds like going back to that original thing, living well beyond your means. If you're not able to pay off your credit card or make a decent payment, you're not really able to afford what you're purchasing.
Well, in effect, that's what people do. They're using credit cards almost as a secondary income source.
Right.
Because they're not affording enough to go pay cash for these things, so they're running up credit card balances of anywhere of $20,000 to $100,000 to buy stuff.
Yeah, it seems like free money, but it's not. Okay. Trading in and out of motor vehicles before they're paid off and sufficiently paid down. Why is this such a bad habit?
Well, this is, I think, from what I see, this is a situation where, again, people don't put enough thought into buying big items that cost lots of money. So a car, to me, is a real big deal.
It's a big purchase.
And it, you know, should take a lot of thought and planning and figuring out exactly what you want. Well, we find a lot of people just go on the spur of the moment and go, I think I want to get a new car. And the problem is sometimes they already have one.
Yeah.
And they bought this new car and they didn't really give it a lot of thought. And then they go, I don't really like it. And I never really could understand how someone could go drop $25,000 to $35,000 on a car, have it for a year or two, and they go, it's too small. I really don't like it very much, so I'm going to get rid of this thing and I'm going to go buy another one. Well, the problem is the one they got may have been a 6-year loan, and they've only had it maybe a year or two. Well, they're upside down on the vehicle probably, and so they don't care. They go get a more expensive vehicle, and now they're maybe getting themselves a $35,000 or $40,000 vehicle. You got to pay off the old one.
Right.
So the dealership will take it in a trade. And the problem is the vehicle value is off. I mean, they may still owe, because they got a bunch of add-ons. They got extended warranties, they got gap insurance, and all these things. They add $3,000 or $4,000 to the original loan when they got the first car. So when they pay off the car, they're given what it's worth. So they may owe $35,000. The car might be worth $20,000 now. So $15,000 of that other loan's coming onto their new loan.
Right.
And
they still have to pay that.
They still got to pay that.
Yeah, the car company's not going to take care of it.
So they're happy driving around in this car.
Or they're calling you because this is happening.
Well, and then they lose their job, and that car goes back. And now when it gets sold at the car auction, they're going to come up light for the original $15,000 that they were upside down. Plus the new car is going to drop in value. So they're sitting on $20,000 of dead money that they're going to owe after the car gets sold at the auction, and besides whatever other debts. So because they just didn't like their car very much and they wanted to get another new one, now they're filing bankruptcy.
They're calling you.
There's $20,000 of dead money.
Oh my goodness.
And now they have to get another car.
Okay, and they have to be able to get a car, which you will help them out with if they happen to have to file for this. Now, one last one here for us this morning, Michael. Failure to have health insurance. Why is this a bad habit and could possibly lead us into bankruptcy?
Well, a lot of people, especially young people, they just think, I don't need health insurance. It costs a lot of money if I get it at my job, and I'm healthy. There's nothing wrong with me. I don't have any diseases.
Right.
Well, that isn't the problem. It's when you get hit by somebody driving a car, or you end up having an appendix attack. You don't plan for things that happen, or you have a gallbladder attack.
And you don't plan for that either.
And now all of a sudden you got $50,000 because you didn't want to have $100 or $150 deducted out of your paycheck because you were so healthy. Well, it's not the sick people have insurance. It's the healthy people that need it for the event that lands them in the hospital that they weren't planning on.
Yeah, something else you can't, living well beyond your means, you can't afford to have an emergency that heads your way. Again, we're going to be giving you a call if you're falling into these bad habits. Thank you for sharing those with us this morning. But let's say, hey, we do need to give you a call and get some assistance from you. How can we do so?
Well, you can reach us at 255-1855. You can find us on the internet at www.iowa-bankruptcylaw.com, or you can follow us on Facebook.
All right, there you go. Keeping you out of bad habits that can get you into bankruptcy. We'll have even more of those next time you come and join us. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you.
All